It's past midnight, and your body is exhausted, but your mind is still going, replaying conversations, running through tomorrow, asking questions no one asked it to answer. You're tired and wired at the same time, and you don't know how to make it stop. That feeling, that loop that won't let you rest, that's exactly why you're here. There's a particular kind of tired that has nothing to do with your body. It's the tired of a mind that won't clock out, that keeps pulling you back into unfinished conversations, half-made decisions, and the quiet dread of everything that hasn't happened yet. You're lying here, still, and yet somehow, you're everywhere else at once. If that's where you are right now, welcome. You don't have to pretend otherwise. You've found your way to Soulnest, and tonight, this space is entirely yours. No performance required. No version of you that needs to hold it together. Just you, exactly as you are. A little frayed, maybe a little weary. Coming home to yourself. That's enough. You're enough, just for arriving here. Now, before we go anywhere, let's just land. Reach up and adjust your pillow, just slightly, until the back of your head finds that soft hollow it's been looking for. Let your shoulders melt away from your ears. And when you're ready, take one breath, not a perfect breath, just a real one. And let it go like you're setting down something heavy you forgot you were carrying. Feel the weight of the blanket across your body. Notice how it presses down, gentle and steady, like a quiet hand that says, you can stop holding everything now. Outside, somewhere, the city is still running. Cars passing, someone's window left open, the low hum of a world that never quite pauses. But inside this room, inside this moment, the air is different, slower. The ceiling above you isn't asking anything of you. The darkness is patient. And there was a moment earlier today. Maybe it happened at a desk, or in a mirror, or in the middle of a sentence you were saying to someone who wasn't really listening. When something in you just wanted out, wanted quiet, wanted to not think for a little while. That moment led you here. Tonight, we leave the noise behind and simply let the world exist without us. And yet, here you are, still awake, still thinking, because the strange, almost comedic truth about a mind like yours is that the moment the world goes quiet, it decides to get very busy. You'd think silence would be restful. Instead, it becomes the stage where every unresolved thought in your life chooses to perform its opening night. The room around you holds the particular quality of late-night stillness, not the hollow silence of emptiness, but something denser, a velvet silence humming just below the surface. Somewhere in the house, the refrigerator exhales its low, rhythmic thrum, faithful and indifferent. The ghost heat of your phone screen fades against the nightstand, a small amber glow cooling like an ember. These objects have been here all day. Only now, in the suspension between wakefulness and sleep, do they feel ancient, like artifacts from a life that ran too fast to notice them. And your mind, your extraordinary, exhausting mind, is not broken. That is the thing nobody tells you. What you're experiencing is not a malfunction. It is, in its own cruel way, a kind of loyalty. Your nervous system spent the entire day absorbing emails, expectations, the low-grade static of other people's moods, the subterranean pressure of goals you haven't reached yet. It held all of it. And now that the structure of the day has dissolved, all that accumulated weight has nowhere left to go except inward. Your thoughts are not attacking you. They are simply looking for somewhere to land. There is something almost tender in that, if you let yourself see it. Your mind racing through tomorrow's meeting, replaying the conversation you handled badly, drafting the email you haven't sent. This is not anxiety for its own sake. It is a caretaker that doesn't know how to rest. A very devoted, very misguided caretaker who believes that if it stops thinking, something important will be missed. It won't, but it doesn't know that yet. So tonight, you don't need to silence your thoughts. You don't need to wrestle them into submission or shame them quiet. You only need to notice them, the way you'd notice clouds moving across a winter sky. Present, real, and passing. The ceiling above you asks nothing. The darkness is not waiting for an answer. Let your mind say what it needs to say and breathe and know. You are safe in this slow and patient hour. And still, your eyes remain open, or perhaps they're closed, but the darkness behind them isn't dark enough, because the strange paradox of this particular kind of wakefulness is that your body has already surrendered. It is your presence that hasn't. You are lying completely still, and yet some part of you is standing in the middle of a room with all the lights on, unable to find the switch. Notice for a moment the bed beneath you. The mattress holds the compressed memory of every hour you've slept in it, a topographical record of rest, shaped quietly to the geography of your body. The sheet against your arm carries the faint, mineral coolness of the night air that crept in through the gap in the curtain. A sliver of silver light resting across the far wall like something spilled and forgotten. The room is not empty. It is full of the particular suspension that only exists in these hours. A silence with texture, almost granular, the kind that amplifies the sound of your own breathing until it seems like the loudest thing left in the world. Here is the truth that no one frames kindly enough. Lying awake is one of the loneliest feelings a person can have. Not because you are alone, you may not be, but because wakefulness at this hour feels like a failure of belonging. Everyone else, it seems, has crossed over to somewhere easier, and you are still here, at the threshold, passport in hand, unable to board. It is exhausting in a way that has no adequate word. Pre-exhausted, perhaps. Tired of being tired before the tiredness has even arrived. And isn't it quietly absurd that the one thing your body needs most is the one thing your mind refuses to allow? That rest, which asks nothing of you, which requires no skill or effort or performance, becomes the hardest thing you've attempted all day. You almost have to admire the commitment. But here is what this wakefulness also is, beneath the frustration. It is your nervous system completing something, processing, digesting the residue of a day that asked too much. You don't need to hurry it along. You don't need to force the crossing. The bed holds you. The night holds the bed. Let the coolness on your skin be enough for now. A small tactile anchor in the gentlest dark. Take one breath in, and as you let it go, see if you can feel your body settle just a fraction deeper into the mattress beneath you. Not forced, just allowed. The bed has been holding you this whole time, and it will keep holding you. You don't have to do anything to keep that happening. And yet, somewhere at the edge of that settling, something is still keeping inventory. A quiet, low hum of things left undone. The dry cleaning, the email, the call you meant to return. They don't arrive as urgencies, not really. They arrive the way a light left on in another room arrives, just present, faintly visible, not demanding, but not gone either. Feel your hands now, wherever they've come to rest. Let them be still. Let them be a little heavier. These are the same hands that did things today, held things, tried things, managed more than they perhaps got credit for. They are allowed to stop now. They have earned the weight of this hour. Here is something worth knowing, quietly, without turning it into a problem to solve. The list is not going anywhere. It will be exactly where you left it when you wake. The tasks have no urgency of their own at this hour. That urgency lives only in the mind, and the mind right now is being asked to do something more important. It is being asked to rest. Take another breath, slow, and feel the exhale carry something out with it, not solved, not finished, just set down for now. The way you'd set a heavy bag on the floor of an entryway. It can wait by the door. It doesn't need to come to bed with you. Feel the blanket across your body, the warmth of it, the way it presses down just slightly, holding you to the place where you already are. There is nothing on the other side of this moment that requires your attention tonight. The unfinished things are not less unfinished for the worrying, and you are not more capable of finishing them for having lost the sleep. Let your jaw soften. Let your shoulders be heavy. Let the breath continue on its own, because it will. It always does, without a single item on any list to make it happen. Tonight, the only thing on the list is this breath, and then the next. And for a moment, just a moment, that was enough. But then it arrives, the way it always does in these hours. A voice, not your voice exactly, and not theirs. Something between the two, reconstructed from memory and guilt and the particular cruelty of a mind that has too much time and too little mercy. A sentence you said, a sentence you should have said. The conversation replaying itself on a loop, and you, its sole captive audience, watching from a bed you cannot leave. The room holds you in its familiar dark. Through the curtain's edge, the faint orange signature of a street lamp brushes the ceiling, a wash of amber so thin it barely qualifies as light, more like the memory of light, the residue left behind when the day forgot to fully close its eyes. The silence in here is not peaceful. It is forensic. The kind of silence that turns over every syllable, holds each one to the light and asks, was that the right thing to say? It never answers. It only asks. This is one of the quieter cruelties of human consciousness, that the editing suite opens only after the film has already screened. In the daylight, in the moment, you said what you said with the information you had, the emotional bandwidth available, the vocabulary your exhaustion left you, and it was imperfect. Most things are. But the mind at night is not interested in context. It is interested in revision, and so it runs the scene again, with better lighting, a different script, a version of you who found the precise, devastatingly correct thing to say at exactly the right moment. That version of you is very impressive. They also do not exist. There is something almost loyal in the replaying, if you can bear to see it that way. You revisit these moments because you care about the person, about the relationship, about the kind of human you want to be inside your interactions. The replay is not punishment. It is, in its tangled way, evidence of your conscience, a difficult proof of how much you are paying attention to the lives of others. And still, the words are spoken. The moment has passed through and out the other side of time, and no amount of rehearsal here, in the dark, will reach it. Let the conversation rest now, the way you'd close a book you've read too many times to need again. It happened. You were there. And tomorrow, if it matters enough, you can simply say so. But tomorrow is not here yet, and neither, it seems, is sleep. What is here, what has been here, quietly accumulating beneath all the thinking and the replaying and the listing, is something older and heavier than any single worry. It is exhaustion, not the clean, earned exhaustion of a body that has worked and now wants to stop. Something more complicated than that. The kind of tired that lives in the chest. The kind that rest, somehow, cannot seem to reach. Feel the bed beneath you, the way it has memorized your shape over months or years, contouring to the specific weight of you with a faithfulness that asks for nothing in return. The pillow against your cheek holds its own quiet warmth, the soft textile pressing back with the gentlest of resistances, the way something solid does when it simply wants to be present alongside you. Above, the ceiling holds its posture in the dark, patient, structural, indifferent to the hour. The silence in this room has a velvet weight to it tonight, the kind that presses down not unkindly, like the last moment before something releases. This is the particular paradox that language was not really built to hold. To be so tired you cannot sleep. The body dimmed to its lowest register. The mind, inexplicably, still at full illumination. You have done everything correctly. You are horizontal. You are still. You have given the night every reasonable invitation. And yet, here you remain, suspended in the infuriating gap between depletion and surrender. It is, if you can stand to see it this way, almost philosophically impressive. An organism so committed to vigilance that it refuses its own rescue. What the exhaustion is carrying, and this is the part worth sitting with gently, is not just today. It is the compounded weight of days that didn't allow for full recovery before the next one began. The effort of showing up, of performing capability, of holding yourself together in rooms where falling apart was not an option. That effort has a cumulative mass, and it does not dissolve simply because the lights went out. So let it be heavy. You do not have to lift it right now. You do not have to resolve the exhaustion any more than you'd try to argue your way out of gravity. The body knows, even when the mind resists, that stillness is not wasted. That lying here, breathing, present, unhurrying, is not failing to rest. It is rest, arriving in the only form it can find you tonight. And that is enough. It has always been enough. But the mind, your mind, does not always believe in enough. It believes in more preparation, more contingency, more scanning of the horizon for the thing that hasn't gone wrong yet, but very well could and probably will. And wouldn't it be better to have considered it now, fully, at length, in the dark, at this hour, when there is absolutely nothing you can do about it? And so begins the nightly cartography of catastrophe, that ancient, exhausting ritual of mapping every territory where the ground could give way. You are safe right now. Whatever the mind is rehearsing, it is happening in the mind, not in the room. The room is still. The room is safe. And you are in it. Outside, the wind has found a loose edge somewhere, a shutter, a gap in the eaves, and it moves through it in a low, searching moan, barely audible, more felt than heard. The curtain shifts once, then settles. The amber residue of the street lamp traces its familiar geometry across the far wall, and for a moment the room feels like a place out of time, a suspended interior where the hours have agreed to pause, however briefly. The air carries the faint metallic suggestion of rain somewhere distant, a scent so thin it might be memory rather than weather. And inside this stillness, your mind is building futures, dark ones mostly, vivid and detailed and entirely unauthorized by anything that has actually happened. This is what anxiety does in the absence of immediate crisis. It invents one. It is, in the most technical sense, trying to protect you. The catastrophizing mind is not irrational. It is prehistoric. It evolved in a world where the rustle in the grass was sometimes a predator, and the cost of underestimating that possibility was catastrophic and irreversible. So it learned to err always on the side of the worst. It learned to run the scenario, every scenario, before the scenario arrived. The fact that most of the rustling was wind and not a predator did not deter it. It filed those outcomes under lucky and kept rehearsing. And here you are, descendant of every person who survived by worrying first, lying in a room that is safe and still, rehearsing the collapse of things that are, tonight, intact. There is something almost noble in that lineage. You are, in the most literal sense, built to survive. But survival and rest are different arts. And tonight, the predator is not in the grass. The future, in all its unwritten enormity, will not be changed by the force of your imagining it tonight. Let the horizon be dark and unmapped for now. You are allowed to not know. The not knowing is not danger. It is simply night. And night, if you let it, has a way of doing something that daylight rarely allows. It removes the audience, the comparing gaze, the invisible scoreboard. In the dark, none of that can find you quite so easily. And yet some part of you has brought it anyway, carried in like a coat you forgot you were wearing. That old familiar weight, the feeling of being behind. You are safe right now, in this room, in this bed. Whatever the comparison brought with it tonight, it cannot reach you here. Feel the sheet beneath your hands, the specific warmth of it, the steady weight of your own body held without effort by the mattress beneath you. This is the only ground you need to stand on tonight. Just this. Just here. The feeling of being behind is one of the loneliest feelings the night produces. And it is also one of the most dishonest, because it asks you to compare your entire interior to other people's visible surface. What you see of others is their highlight, curated and outward facing. What you know of yourself is everything. The doubt, the detour, the private effort that no announcement ever captures. It is not a fair comparison. It was never a fair comparison. And at this hour, it does not deserve the full weight of your attention. Take a breath in. Let it go slowly. And with it, just a little of the scoreboard. You don't have to dissolve it completely tonight. You only need to put it down long enough to sleep. Here's something that is simply, quietly true. Your path has been shaped by the specific weight of the life you have actually lived. Not delayed, not deficient, shaped. There is no timeline on becoming, and depth, real depth, is never visible from the outside. You are not behind. You are here. And here, tonight, is exactly where you are supposed to be. Let your body be heavy now. Let the breath be slow. The comparing can wait outside this room, and this room is yours, and you are safe inside it. You are here in this particular dark, which is exactly where you are supposed to be tonight. Not the version of you from 12 hours ago, composed, upright, holding the shape the day required. That version has finished its work. It did what it needed to do. And now, here, in the quiet of this room, you are allowed to put it all down. The clothes you wore today are somewhere across the room, draped over a chair, folded at the foot of the bed, still holding the shape of the day without you in them. Let them keep it. That shape is not yours to carry anymore tonight. Feel your face now, the muscles around your eyes, your jaw, the soft place just beneath your temples. All day, the face was working, holding expressions, responding, performing the small continuous labor of being readable to other people. Let it go now. Let the face be nothing in particular. Let it be just a face, soft and private, with no one watching and nothing to show. Feel your shoulders. Let them fall a little lower than you think they need to go. Lower still. Good. You spent today being whatever the room needed you to be, and that is real work, more real than most systems ever acknowledge. The version of you that smiled at the right moments, that kept the doubts quiet, that translated the interior into something the day could use. That version worked hard. It is allowed to rest now. You are allowed to rest now. There is no performance required in this room, no correct response, no version of yourself to maintain or protect or offer to anyone. Just the breath moving in and out on its own. Just the weight of the body held without effort by the bed that has been waiting here all day for you to return to it. Let the roles dissolve, one by one, softly, without ceremony. The capable one, set down. The together one, set down. The one who holds the shape for everyone else, set down. What remains when all of that is released is simply you, private and unheld and complete in a way the day never gets to see. That is enough. You are enough. Just as you are right now in this quiet dark, you are more than enough. And in this dark, that is more than enough, except silence has its own acoustics, doesn't it? You removed the noise, the roles, the day's relentless demands, and discovered that underneath all of it Waiting with extraordinary patience was the interior, louder than the traffic, louder than the office, the notifications, the rhythm of other people's needs pressing up against yours. You quieted the world, and the world inside you simply turned up the volume. There is something almost darkly comic about that. The retreat from noise leading, with perfect inevitability, directly into more noise, just of a different and more personal variety. The room is as still as it has been all night. The curtain hangs without movement now, the wind from earlier having settled into something barely perceptible. A thin, cool thread of air moving at the window's edge, carrying the last of that metallic rain scent like a rumor of weather. The street lamp's amber glow rests on the ceiling in a long, quiet trapezoid of light, neither growing nor fading, simply there. A witness. The refrigerator maintains its low, faithful thrum through the walls, the only sound with a body to it, the only rhythm that doesn't belong to thought. The silence surrounding it is neither hollow nor soft tonight. It is taut, alive with frequency, the kind of silence that hums with its own electricity, conducting every thought at twice the normal intensity. This is the paradox that retreats and quiet rooms have always posed. Stillness does not silence the mind, it amplifies it. Because all day long, the external world provided cover, meetings to attend, people to respond to, tasks that absorbed the mind's excess and gave it somewhere external to place itself. Remove that scaffolding, and the thoughts that were always there, running just below the operational surface, suddenly fill the available space. They were never absent. They were simply drowned out, which is a very different thing. And here is the gentlest truth about a loud interior. It means you are alive to your own experience. The thoughts that rise in silence, the fears, the unprocessed feelings, the questions without answers, they are rising because they belong to you and they have been waiting for a space where they could finally be heard. Silence is not the problem. It is the first honest conversation you've had with yourself all day. You do not have to answer every thought that surfaces tonight. You do not have to resolve or categorize or conclude. Let the thoughts speak and let them pass. Like sounds moving through a room you are simply resting in, patient and unheld, softening now toward quiet. And in that softening, something becomes possible that the noise of the day rarely allows. A simple thing, worth sitting with gently. If you can notice the thoughts passing, if you can watch them move through, then you are not the thoughts. You are the one watching. The voice in your head has opinions tonight, strong ones, verdicts, predictions, a running commentary on everything you've done and failed to do. But the part of you that just noticed that voice, that part is not the voice. It is simply here, quietly here, and that is a different thing entirely. The room has grown its deepest dark now, that particular quality of night that arrives only in the small hours. Not the amber-tinged dusk of early evening, but something older and more complete. A darkness with actual weight to it, velvet and total, pressing gently at the edges of the window where the street lamp's glow no longer quite reaches. The refrigerator holds its low, untroubled thrum. On the nightstand, the glass of water catches a sliver of that distant light and holds it. A single, cold luminescence, patient as something that has been waiting centuries to be noticed. The silence in here has finally softened. Not taut, not hollow, but deep. The kind of silence that has texture when you move through it, that receives you. The voice in your head is not your enemy, but it is not the whole of you either. It is something more like a narrator, one that has been running for a very long time, built from old criticisms, inherited fears, stories about who you should be. It knows you well. It does not, however, know everything, and it is not the one lying still in this bed, breathing. That is you, simply, quietly, you. Here is what remains when the voice quiets, even briefly. Presence. The weight of your body against the mattress. The specific temperature of the air on your skin. The sound of your own breath, which requires no commentary to continue. You were here before the voice began tonight, and you will be here when it finally rests. The voice passes through. You remain. Let that settle now, without needing to hold it tightly. You are the room. The thoughts are weather moving through. And the room, as it has always been, simply remains, open, quiet, and unmoved. As do you, lying here, breathing, still here, beneath all of it. There is something worth knowing, softly, without making it into work. A thought is not the same as the truth. A thought is something that passes through, like a cloud moving across a dark sky, real while it is there, present, sometimes heavy with what it carries. But the sky does not become the cloud. The sky simply holds it for a little while, and then it moves on. You are the sky. The thoughts are passing through. The room is still. The refrigerator hums its low, familiar note through the wall. The same sound that has been there all night, unchanged, unhurried. The ceiling holds its quiet dark. The blanket across your body is warm and unchanged. Nothing in this room has shifted. Everything that is solid is still solid. Everything that holds you is still holding you. A thought arrived tonight that said you are failing. It felt very certain, very loud. But certainty is not the same as truth, and the loudest thoughts are often the least accurate, arriving at the hour when you are least able to argue back. You don't have to argue back. You only have to let it pass. It is passing. Even now, it is passing. Let the breath be a little slower. Let the body be a little heavier. You are safe in this room. The thought moved through, and you are still here, still breathing, still whole. Another thought may come. Let it come. Let it pass the same way. You are the sky. It is only weather. The room holds you. The dark holds the room. And underneath every thought that crossed through this night, you remain open, quiet, unmoved, safe here, still here, enough. That's it. Open, quiet, unmoved, and more accurate than any of it. And more accurate, too, than the label you have been carrying through the world like a name tag pressed to your chest. The professional designation, the career identity, the two-word condensation of your days that appears in email signatures and introductions, and the polite shorthand of social occasions. In this room, at this hour, that label fits like someone else's coat, heavy at the shoulders, cut for a slightly different shape, and here, beneath it, in the dark, You are simply a person in a bed, breathing, with a whole interior life that the title was never built to hold. The nightstand holds what the nightstand always holds. The glass of water, now room temperature, familiar and unpretentious, a relic of a smaller and more honest need. The clothes from the day are somewhere out of sight, released. The phone rests face down, its screen dark, its notifications paused. That slim compendium of professional obligation temporarily suspended in the velvet dark like a ship at anchor, going nowhere. The silence in the room is total now. The gossamer quality of earlier hours resolved into something denser and more final. A silence with mass. The kind that settles not on the surface of things but into them. The way cold settles into stone overnight. There is a particular modern exhaustion that arrives from conflating your output with your existence, from allowing what you produce to become the primary evidence of what you are. It happens gradually, unremarkably, the way sediment accumulates. A promotion internalized as identity, a project's failure absorbed as personal verdict, the title hardening over years into something that feels less like a description and more like a definition. And then one day, or one night, more precisely, in a bed in the dark, you find yourself wondering in the honest quiet that performance cannot reach. Outside of what I do, who am I exactly? That question is not a crisis. It is, in fact, one of the more important questions a person can find their way back to. Because you existed before the title, curious, capable of love, moved by particular light at a particular time of day, partial to specific textures and sounds and ways of being in the world. All of it preceding the credential, none of it contingent on it. The work you do is real. The effort is real. And it is a part of you, not the architecture of you. Underneath the professional designation, underneath the performance of competence and the armor of expertise, you are still, as you always were, simply someone trying to live well. That is not a small thing. Tonight, let that be the only title that matters. Someone trying to live well, and notice, just for a moment, that living well and producing constantly are not the same instruction. They have been made to sound synonymous, so gradually and so thoroughly that the seam between them has become almost invisible. But they are not the same. One is a way of being. The other is a metric. And you are not a metric. You are a person lying in the particular dark of a particular night, and your value in this moment, breathing, resting, simply existing, is not one unit less than it was at your most productive hour today. The room breathes with you now, slow and deep. The curtain is motionless, the window a dark rectangle holding nothing but the absence of day. On the dresser or the chair, or wherever they have come to rest, the small objects of your daily life sit in their faithful arrangement. Keys, a watch, perhaps a notebook with a pen laid across it, its pages holding whatever you wrote or failed to write today, indifferent to the distinction. These are artifacts of a life in motion, resting now between one day and the next. The silence is thick and close, the kind that has weight you can almost feel against the skin. A dark flannel silence, warm rather than cold, the particular quiet of the deepest hours when even the mind begins to slow its tallying. Somewhere along the way, a story took hold, that worth is earned through output, that rest must be deserved, that a day without enough to show for it is a day subtracted from the self. It settled in so quietly that most people cannot name the moment they began to believe it. Only the feeling remains, that low-grade guilt of never quite having done enough. You may have felt it today, the tasks that outran the hours, the body that needed rest before the list was finished, and the quiet shame of giving it what it asked for anyway. But the tree does not apologize for the season in which it does not flower. The tide does not measure its worth by how far it reaches up the shore. These are not metaphors for passivity. They are reminders that rhythm is not failure and that a thing can be intrinsically valuable without performing that value continuously. You were enough before today began. The day changed nothing essential. Rest now, not as reward, but as right. And yet, quietly, without asking permission, the mind has drifted forward, somewhere into tomorrow, into things that haven't happened yet, in a day that hasn't arrived. You don't have to follow it there. Nothing is required of you right now. Nothing at all. Not a plan. Not a solution. Not even a thought that makes sense. The only thing this moment asks is that you breathe and let the breath be enough. The room is still. The flannel dark of the small hours presses close and warm. The refrigerator hums through the wall, low, constant, requiring nothing, asking nothing, simply present the way solid things are present. The silence around you is geological, patient, indifferent, in the kindest possible way to tomorrow entirely. And you are here, inside this silence, and nothing is needed from you right now. Tomorrow is not tonight. Whatever waits on the other side of sleep, it will still be there. It does not need you to arrive early. It does not need to be carried through the dark. It will come on its own, the way morning always does, quiet and unhurried, and it will find you rested if you let it. So let it go for now, not forever, not with any great effort of will, just for now, just for these hours. Let tomorrow be tomorrow's. Feel the weight of your body against the bed, heavy and unhurried, the blanket warm across you, the breath coming and going without you having to do anything to make it happen. In and out, in and out. Nothing required, nothing owed. You are not behind. You are not failing by resting. You are doing the only thing that this hour was ever meant for, releasing the day, releasing tomorrow, releasing the need to hold it all together just a little while longer. Let go. You are safe here. Nothing is required. Just this breath, and then the next. The only architecture that matters tonight is the slow, deliberate construction of rest, breath by breath, layer by layer, until tomorrow comes to find you ready. And into that building, uninvited, one more thing has been carried. Not a worry about the future this time. Something older already happened, with a fixed address and a specific shape. The mistake, the moment that went wrong, the thing you said or didn't say, did or failed to do, sitting somewhere in the chest like a stone that the day's motion kept shifting but never dissolved. Now, in the stillness, you can feel exactly where it settled. The room is at its most interior now. The window holds only the abstract dark of the final hours, no longer amber, no longer geometric, just the plain, unlit fact of outside. The glass on the nightstand has been empty for some time, its purpose completed, its small service given and gone. The refrigerator continues its low, faithful thrum, that constant subterranean note, indifferent and reliable, which has been the room's only clock all night. The silence surrounding it carries a new texture in this hour, soft as ash, the kind of quiet that settles after everything combustible has already burned, and what remains is simply what was always there, underneath. Patient, elemental, waiting to receive whatever you are ready to set down. Here is the thing about today's mistakes that the night always distorts. It enlarges them, removes their context, strips away the extenuating circumstances, the pressure you were under, the information you didn't have, the bandwidth that had already been spent before that particular moment arrived and found you not at your best. What remains after all that stripping looks like failure. It is not. It is a human moment in a human day, handled with what you had, by a person doing more than any reasonable accounting would require. It is not failure. It is just what being human looks like from the inside, on a hard day, at the end of a long night. And here is the quieter truth beneath the mistake itself. You are reviewing it because you care, because you want to do better, be better, show up better. Indifference doesn't linger in the dark rehearsing its errors. Only conscience does. Only someone who genuinely cares does. And that caring, as uncomfortable as it feels right now, is not a flaw. It is the most human thing about you. But guilt was never meant to be a permanent residence. It is a signal, not a sentence. It arrived to tell you something, and you have heard it. You have heard it. Now let it do what signals do when they have been received, fade. The mistake belongs to today, and today is already leaving, already pulling back, the way a tide pulls back, slow and unhurried, taking what it came with. Let it go. Let it carry the weight out with it as it goes. Quietly, without ceremony, into the past where it was always meant to rest. You heard it. You felt it. That is enough. Let it rest now. Let it go. And now, with that particular weight released, notice what remains. Not the silence you might have expected, because alongside the mistakes, alongside the worries and the lists and the replayed conversations, something else has been here all night, quieter than the rest, and therefore easier to miss. The voices, not your own, the collected opinions, assessments, and uninvited verdicts of other people, which have a way of following you into the one room in your life that was never built for them. The bedroom in the small hours holds its final, most complete darkness. The street lamp outside has passed its own meridian and dims now almost imperceptibly toward morning, its amber diminishing degree by degree until the light it casts is barely a suggestion. The curtain is still. The refrigerator breathes its faithful thrum through the wall, that patient subterranean rhythm that has asked nothing of you all night and continues not to. The surface of the phone on the nightstand is dark and cool as a sealed envelope. The silence in here has become something almost mineral, dense and stratified, like the interior of a stone that has been forming in the dark for a very long time. It has no room in it for anyone who isn't you. And yet they arrived anyway, didn't they? The comment that landed harder than the speaker perhaps intended. the look that carried a meaning you've been translating ever since, the opinion of someone whose approval you realized too late you had been quietly organizing your choices around, not out of weakness, but out of the very human need to be seen accurately by the people whose eyes matter to you. That need is not a flaw. It was never a flaw. It is the evidence of your attachment to the world, your desire to exist in it well, to be understood rather than simply present. But the bedroom was not designed as a courtroom, and these particular jurors were never granted jurisdiction over the interior. They do not belong here, not tonight, not in this room. Here's the simplest, hardest thing. Other people's opinions of you are, in the most technical sense, none of your business. They are formed in minds you cannot enter, from information that is always partial, through the filter of concerns and histories and projections that have at least as much to do with them as with you. They are, at best, an approximation, a rough sketch of something they glimpsed from the outside. A sketch, not the truth, not the whole of you, not even close. You are the original. Let the approximations wait outside. Let them wait at the door. They can stay there. This room holds only what is true, and what is true tonight is simply this. You are here, you are breathing, and you are, underneath every layer of other people's seeing, every glance, every verdict, every voice that followed you home, entirely your own, entirely your own. Let that land. Let it be the last thing you carry into sleep tonight. And being your own means sitting sometimes with things that are unfinished, unresolved, open in the way that wounds are open, or in the way that questions are open, not bleeding, not urgent, but not yet healed into the smooth, unmarked surface the mind keeps waiting for. Closure, it turns out, is one of the great promises the human nervous system makes to itself and rarely manages to fully keep. Not because you have failed to find it, but because most things, when you hold them honestly, do not end so much as they transform. The room is at the edge of night now, that liminal border where darkness has not yet yielded to dawn, but has begun, imperceptibly, to thin at its own margins. The window holds the very first suggestion of a quality of air, rather than pure dark, something not quite light beginning its long, patient arrival. The refrigerator's thrum continues, its subterranean constancy unchanged by the hour, as faithful at this border as it was at midnight. The nightstand holds its artifacts in their quiet arrangement, the emptied glass, the phone, the book splayed open at a page that remains unread, mid-sentence, suspended. The silence in here is neither heavy nor thin, but permeable now, the kind that allows things to pass through in both directions, in and out, without resistance. The unresolved thing you are carrying, the relationship without its conclusion, the conversation that ended badly and was never revisited, the situation still suspended in its own ambiguity, waiting for a resolution that may not be coming in the form you imagined. It sits with the patience of something that has learned to wait, and the mind, in its devotion to completion, keeps returning to it in the dark, keeps trying the door, keeps trying the door, keeps drafting the final chapter of a story that may not yet know it is ready to end. And that is all right. You do not have to stop it from trying. You only have to stop believing the door must open tonight. There is something almost tender in that devotion, and something worth releasing, because closure is not always a door that clicks shut. Sometimes it is a gradual loosening, a slow withdrawal of the emotional charge from something that once felt unbearable, until one day you notice, almost by accident, that you have been carrying it lightly for a while, without knowing when the weight changed. The weight changed, quietly, without announcement. It is allowed to do that again. You do not need the ending tonight. You only need to soften your grip on the demand for one. Just soften. Just a little. That is enough. The story is still being written. The unresolved is not the unresolvable. It is simply not yet finished. Let it be unfinished. Let it rest in its own unfinishedness, the way this night rests, patient and unhurried, neither forcing its own ending nor apologizing for it. And neither, still beautifully, are you, not finished, not broken, still here, still becoming, still enough. And inside that unfinishedness, inside all that has moved through this night, the worries and the voices, the lists and the replays, the mistakes and the open questions, there has been something else present the entire time, quieter than all of it, older than the anxiety, a part of you that watched the thoughts arrive and watched them pass, that held the room steady while the surface moved, that has been here, continuous and unhurried, through every chapter of this long and honest night. You may not have noticed it. The calm rarely announces itself. It simply remains. The window holds the first true pre-dawn now, not the amber of the street, not the mineral dark of midnight, but something between, a blue-gray quality of light so faint it exists more as a promise than a fact. The world outside beginning its slow return from wherever night takes it. The air in the room has shifted by a single degree, perceptibly cooler, carrying through the curtain's gap the faint green metallic scent of early morning, of dew forming on cold surfaces, of a world turning toward day with the patient indifference of something that has done this a great many times before. The refrigerator's thrum continues, faithful as ever, no louder or softer than it was at the beginning of the night. The silence around it has opened, no longer mineral, no longer sealed, but spacious now, like a room inside a room, the kind of quiet that has room in it for the breath to expand. Here is something that the noise of difficult nights can obscure. The anxiety is not the whole of you. The overthinking is not the whole of you. These are weather systems moving through a much larger territory, dramatic, real, sometimes consuming, but not the territory itself. Beneath every spiral of thought, beneath every revision and rehearsal and midnight catastrophe, there is a ground, a substrate, a part of yourself that the storm has never, not once, actually touched. It was calm when the night began. It has been calm through everything. It is calm right now, underneath the layers, available the way bedrock is available, not soft, not warm, but absolutely there, absolutely solid, requiring nothing from you to continue existing. You don't need to manufacture this calm. You cannot. It was never something to be produced. It is something to be returned to. The way a hand dropped into still water returns the water to stillness simply by going quiet itself. Let the breath drop a little deeper now. The surface can move. The ground holds. It has always held. And somewhere beneath everything this night brought, you are still there, still and absolutely fine. Fine, and also, if you'll allow this gentle addition, more than the night's accounting has given you credit for. Because the mind that spent these hours cataloging what went wrong, what remains undone, what could have been better, that same mind has been running a very incomplete ledger. It recorded the deficits with extraordinary precision. It neglected almost entirely the other column. And that column, if you let yourself look at it now, in this soft pre-dawn quiet, has more in it than you have been led to believe. The window holds the definite arrival of early light now, not yet sunrise, but the world beyond the curtain has begun its slow reacquisition of form and color, the darkness resolving into the familiar shapes of whatever lies outside. Rooftop, tree, the corner of something built by someone who also had difficult nights. The air through the curtain's edge carries the cool breath of a morning that has been assembling itself, unhurried, while you lay here in the dark. The refrigerator's faithful thrum is softer now somehow, or perhaps you have simply come far enough into this night that its constancy has become a kind of comfort rather than mere background. The silence in here is warm and open, a dawn silence, which is a different creature entirely from the silence of midnight, less sealed, less dense, more willing to let the light in. Here is what the anxious mind's ledger missed. The moment today when you held your patience longer than anyone saw or acknowledged. The small kindness offered without expectation of return. A door held, a tone moderated, a word chosen carefully because you knew the other person was struggling. The task completed not perfectly, but genuinely, with what you had. The decision to keep going when stopping would have been easier and no one was watching, and you did it anyway, because that is the kind of person you quietly, persistently, without ceremony, are. These are not consolation prizes. They are data, real events in a real day, as factual as anything the internal critic recorded and passed over, because the mind under pressure develops a profound bias toward the negative and a near total blindness to the incremental good. You carried more through today than the worry remembered to credit. You managed more than the night has counted. And the person lying here at the far edge of this long, honest dark, tired, unfinished, still becoming, has done enough, has been enough, has, without perhaps noticing, quietly added to the world today in ways that do not show up on any list, but matter precisely because of that. And now, at last, and without condition, it is time, not to resolve, not to conclude, simply time to let the body do the one thing it has been asking patiently through every hour of this long night, to fall, slowly, without effort, into sleep. Begin with the breath, just one breath, in through the nose, slow, filling the chest and then the belly, and out, longer on the exhale than the inhale. Let the exhale be twice as long as the breath that came before it. Let the body follow the breath downward, down and again, in and out, slowly, slowly, all the way to the end of the breath, until there is nothing left to release, and then let the next breath arrive on its own. Good. Just like that. Now bring your awareness gently down to your feet, your toes. Feel them, however they are, wherever they have come to rest inside the warmth of the bed. You don't need to move them. Simply notice that they are there. And now let them soften. Let every small muscle in the toes, the tendons, the joints, the thin and faithful bones that have carried your weight all day, let all of it go. Soft, heavy, done. Feel that softness move up through the soles of your feet, the heels sinking deeper into the mattress, the ankles releasing, no effort, no holding, just weight and warmth and the slow permission of gravity doing what gravity does. Let the calves soften next. Long muscles, tired muscles, letting go. And the shins and the knees. Let the backs of the knees press just a little deeper into the bed. Feel how the legs grow heavier now, how the mattress receives them without complaint. Let the thighs release. The hips grow wide and heavy against the sheet. All the small muscles of the lower back, let them settle, not held, not braced, simply resting, the way the earth rests under snow, heavy and still and supported from below. Breathe in and let the exhale carry you a little deeper. Feel the weight of your abdomen rise and fall with the breath. Let the belly be soft. No holding, no pulling, no shape to maintain. Just the breath moving in and out through a body that is beginning to let go of the day. Your chest now, the rib cage expanding gently on each inhale, releasing on each exhale. Let the chest be open, wide, unheld, and the shoulders, let them fall, not to where you think they should be, but further, lower than feels necessary, a little lower still. Feel them spread toward the edges of the bed, heavy and wide, released from the upright demand of daylight, from the hours of holding and carrying and composing. They are done now. They can rest. The arms grow heavy from the shoulders down, the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, loose, unguarded, at rest, and the hands, wherever your hands have come to rest, open or curled, warm inside the fabric, feel them soften now, the palms releasing, the fingers, one by one, uncurling just slightly, the grip of the day, finally letting go. Breathe in, long and slow, and out, all the way out, down into the weight of the body, down into the warmth of the bed. Let the exhale be the longest thing you do tonight. Bring your attention gently up to the neck. Let it be soft. The muscles on either side, long and tired, holding the weight of the head all day without rest. Let them release now. Nothing to support, nothing to face toward. The pillow holds everything the neck was holding. You can stop. And now the face, the jaw first. Let it be heavy, not clenched, not braced, simply heavy. Let the back teeth part just slightly, the jaw hanging loose and low, the muscles of the cheeks going soft, the corners of the mouth release, the lips barely touching or not at all, simply there. The muscles around the eyes now. Feel how much tension lives there. The small pulling, the fine-grained effort of a face that has been reading and responding and holding expression all day. Let it go, all of it. Let the eyelids be heavy, not forced shut, but heavy with their own gentle weight, as though the eyelids themselves are grateful to finally close. Let the eyes beneath them soften, release, grow still, not looking anywhere, not watching anything, just resting behind the warmth of closed lids in the kind dark. The forehead, let it be smooth. Every small furrow of the day's concentration, the late night worry, the concentrated effort of getting through. Let it unknit now, soft across the brow, soft at the temples, the scalp releasing, the whole face finally belonging only to the night. Breathe in and out, slow, slow, all the way out. The body is heavy now from toes to crown. The mattress holds all of it, every pound, every hour, every ounce of the day's accumulated weight, without effort, without complaint. It has been here all night waiting to do exactly this. And the blanket across you is warm and close, pressing down with the softest possible pressure, the velvet weight of the world saying, done now, held now, safe. Let the thoughts come, if they come. Clouds moving at the far edge of a sky that grows quieter with each breath. You don't need to chase them away. You don't need to follow them either. They will pass on their own, the way all weather passes, and beneath them the sky remains, open, still, wide, yours. The breath is slower now, and slower. The body heavier than it was a moment ago, and heavier still. Let each exhale carry you a little further from the surface, down into the warmth, down into the dark that is kind and familiar and asking nothing. You have traveled a long way through this night, and the shore is here, beneath you, holding you completely. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to be, just the breath and the weight and the dark. Let go. You are safe. You are held. You are enough. Rest now. And so it recedes. The whole long weight of this night, its questions and its honesty, its releases and its recognitions, drawing back now like a tide that has done what tides come to do, leaving behind only the quiet shore of this moment, this breath, this particular dark. You don't need to hold any of it. It has already done its work in you. You are not broken. You are in a chapter the world doesn't always know how to see, one that asks more of you in the dark than daylight ever witnesses, one that the noise of ordinary life has no language for. But it matters. You matter. And the quiet progress of a night like this, the decision to feel it honestly, to stay with it, to choose rest in spite of everything the mind brought to the door, that is not a small thing. That is, in its own unhurried way, everything. The bed holds you completely now. The blanket's velvet weight presses close and warm, a darkness within the darkness, a room within the room. The air is cool at the edges, gentle where it reaches your skin. Your breathing has found its own slow rhythm, and the silence has settled over everything like something that was always meant to be here. Let the thoughts grow distant now. Let the body grow heavy. Let the night hold what the day could not. You are safe. You are held. You are, and have always been, enough. Rest now. Good night.